So when the lockdown started, there was about a month or two after where people around the world started coming out with articles saying that even though people had a significant decrease in driving habits, the volatile organic compounds, the nitrous oxides, and the CO2 dropped significantly, along with the sharp drop in driving habits. But the strange anomaly, quote unquote, was that ozone had only slightly decreased, increased in some areas, and in other cases had not changed at all. So I'm not sure if this is something that is happening that I'm not understanding, or if it's something that is happening magnetically with the atmosphere, which I can talk about in a different video. And I think it's something that's naturally happening, and I think it's been happening for a while. They've been talking about it in the mainstream science community with the whole magnetic pole shifting or whatever. And I think that there's something happening magnetically to where ozone is starting to be more prevalent in the lower atmosphere. So keep in mind that the official narrative is that ozone is air pollution, but what I've shown to you is that volatile organic compounds, nitrous oxides, and CO2 is actually the precursor and is the true cause of pollution, and it's the stuff that floats into the sky, into the higher atmosphere, and breaks apart and recombines to form ozone. So the ozone that exists down here, it breaks down very easily, and it's not something that would be considered air pollution because it is so unstable. And the ozone that truly exists is way up in the atmosphere. This is the title page for the article I'm about to go over. So here we have our first article. It's just reporting around the world. It says this study that found that nitrous oxide emissions that went down 60%, fine particulate matter dropped 31%, the global average ozone actually went up slightly around the world. So that's why I think that this is something natural. I mean, even in the first sentence, it says, when viewed broadly and globally, air pollution dropped during the lockdowns. Air pollution, it means nitrous oxide and fine particulate matter, along with CO2 and VOCs. It has nothing to do with ozone. Ozone is not air pollution. And it introduces the article saying that it dropped, and then it says that the only thing that dropped was nitrous oxide and fine particulate matter. It's not even ozone, because ozone didn't even go down. This article is just reporting from the US. The last one was reporting for the whole world as a whole. The ozone levels have slightly increased, but for the US, there's been a slight decrease. In some parts of the US, I've noticed on the maps that there's been a slight increase as well with ozone, but in relation to the 40% drop in traffic, there should be some sort of drop in ozone if ozone is air pollution. But this article is reporting that even though traffic has dropped almost half to what it was before, ozone has just slightly decreased. So here's an interesting article. It says ozone pollution, it increased more than 100% after its lockdowns in Wuhan. You know how hardcore those lockdowns were over there. And this was starting in January 2020, so this was literally like the weeks after the lockdown started. So it's not even enough to see any it's barely enough to see any change in the VOCs, the nitrous oxides and the CO2 in the atmosphere, and they're saying that barely any time has passed, the ozone has increased more than 100%. That's kind of insane. This one appears to be more because of the fires in Southern California, but there was a sharp increase in ozone, quote unquote, lung damaging. It's reached its highest levels in a generation, and it's set records in parts of California. One, it was hot, so I'm pretty sure that the UV rays from the sun breaking down the CO2 and the nitrous oxide coming from the wildfires, it would make a sharp influx of ozone into our lower atmosphere. Or possibly it's something magnetic happening this last year. This was published in September, so something just to consider.